readers! Today I'm going to be doing a non-spoiler discussion on Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. Aveyard? I'm not sure how you pronounce that. I don't know. Anyway, like all my reviews, I'm going to be covering three things: world building, characters, and plot. If you want to jump to a specific chapter time, they will be in the description box below. Let's jump in and start talking about world building. So the setup for the world of Red Queen is that there are two types of people in this world. Those with red blood, so regular red-blooded humans, and those with silver blood. Now, the silver bloods have supernatural powers, and every silver-blooded person has one specific type of power. Like, you could have the power to be really strong, you could have the power to control an element like fire, water, etc., etc. Kind of like we've heard in similar stories before, everyone has one power. And because the silvers have this supernatural power, they use it to kind of lord over all of the reds. So this creates a big economic disparity between the haves, who are the silvers, and the have-nots, who are the reds. Now, this is something that we've seen many times before in YA stories. I just last month finished reading Shadow and Bone, so it's kind of hard not to compare the two, but also it also gave me major Hunger Games vibes. I saw the silvers and the reds as kind of like the silvers are like the capital people, and the reds are more like the district people. So our main character, Mare, she is a red. Her and her family live in this place called the Stilts. Now, another thing I want to mention is that there's also this war going on in the background. Now, the war that's going on is definitely in the background of this story. It is not front and center, but it's something that's always there. And the war is basically the country that this takes place in, which is called Norda. That's the name of the country, is at war with another country, and they're called the Lakelanders. Now, this particular book does not go really into depth about why these two countries are at war, just that they've been at war for a long time. And in order to fight this war, to keep fighting this war, it's the reds, the red-blooded average people, that have to go and be soldiers. So if you are a red at a certain age, at 18 years of age, if you have not found like an apprenticeship or a job, you are conscripted into the army and forced to go and fight this war. So that's kind of the setup of the world building in this book. Again, like I mentioned, we've seen this before. Shadow and Bone, they also have armies that kids are conscripted into. Hunger Games, the kids are conscripted into the actual Hunger Games. So all very similar type of stuff, just slightly different in the way that it's done in this book. So I don't know what else I can really say about the world building without giving away spoilers, so I'm going to jump over and talk about our characters for a little bit. So our main character is Mare Barrow. Now, she and her family are reds. They're just average people. She has a mother, a father, a younger sister, and I believe 3 older brothers. So here is an example of a YA fantasy where the mother is still alive. If you saw a few weeks ago, I did a video about fantasy mothers. I can link that above. But a lot of fantasy mothers are either dead or evil, but I actually found another one that is not dead or evil. Now, she has a very small role in this story, so I can't really say that she makes that big of a difference either way, but at least she's not dead, at least not in this book, and she's not evil, at least not in this book. So anyway, Mare is a young red girl. Her family, being red, is very poor, so the way that she helps her family is she kind of steals things. She steals things from, people in town to help support her family. And of course, it's coming up on her 18th birthday, so if she can't find something else to do, she's going to be conscripted into the army, just like all her brothers have been, just like her parents were. But through a series of events, Mare finds out that she actually has a power. This is not a spoiler because it's revealed in the front cover here, because this is still kind of part of the whole setup thing, so not a spoiler. But she discovers that she has this unexplainable power, and it's the power of lightning. But of course, she's not the only one that notices this. Other Silvers notice this as well, specifically the royal family. So because they don't want people to find out that a red potentially has a supernatural power, they decide that they're going to hide her. So they force her to pretend to be like this lost silver princess, and they betroth her to one of the two crown princes. Not the heir to the throne, of course, but the younger of the princes. His name is Maven. So now we have Mare. She's forced to leave her home, forced to go and live with the royal family, forced to pretend to be silver, forced into a, betrothal with a prince, etc., etc. Mare, compared to some other YA protagonists, I actually like her a little bit better. She still falls into the trope of, I'm just an average girl, but oh, actually I'm special and I have powers and everybody loves me. But at least when she's forced to do all these things, at least she uses her position to try and help, her family and her fellow Reds. Because, of course, there's an uprising, there's a rebellion going on, and she uses her position to try and help them. So at least she does that. But on the other side, the thing that I really don't like here is the romance. The romance aspect of this book drove me absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. Because we have Mare, and not only is she betrothed to one prince who falls in love with her, but the older prince is also in love with her. And then she has a childhood friend from her home called Killorn, and he's also kind of in love with her. So not one, not two, but three people. I'm like, when I was reading this, I was like, what is it about this girl that literally everyone is in love with her? Is she super hot? I don't know. They don't spend a lot of time going into her appearance or what she looks like. In the very beginning, it's set up that she has brown hair, brown eyes, but that's pretty much it. So there's not a lot to go on there. I don't know. I hope there is a twist at the end of the book that changes some of those relationships slightly, but I really hope that in future stories that they can kind of fix that issue, because it was a little much. So Mare, she's got these two princes now that are in love with her. One, his name is Cal, and the youngest one is Maven. And out of the two of them, I definitely think that Cal is the more interesting of the princes. He's the older one, he's the heir. He seems like he wants to do the right thing. He wants people to be more equal, but he's also part of this system that prevents him from doing those things, that prevents him from reaching true equality. So even though he knows the right thing to do, he can't always do the right thing. Because, as anyone in power knows, it's not enough just to have power, you have to be able to keep it. And if he doesn't do the right things to make the right people happy, he won't be able to keep his power. Now, Maven is like the typical younger son. He's been in his brother's shadow his whole life. He doesn't think his father loves him as much as he loves his brother. And both brothers have the same power of fire, but he's just not as strong as his older brother. So he has a lot going on for him. And through most of the book, I felt one way about him, but there is something that happens with him at the end that did change how I felt about him. So those are kind of our three main characters, and of course there's a lot of side characters and a lot of other characters. I don't think any of the other characters made that big of an impression on me. So now I'm going to jump over and talk a little bit about the plot. So I already mentioned the whole romance thing and how I was not into that. And I actually think out of world building characters and plot, the plot was probably the weakest part to me. I liked the world building. I liked the characters overall. The plot, the romance stuff just did not work for me. So the other big plot point is that there is this like underground rebellion. So there are a group of reds that are trying to rise up and overthrow the silvers. And of course, just like in the Hunger Games, for those that have read the Hunger Games, and I don't know how to talk about this without giving a spoiler away, so this is a small Hunger Games spoiler. If you don't want to know anything about the Hunger Games, because for some reason you haven't read it yet, just jump forward a few minutes. But just like District 13 versus the Capitol, the Red Rebellion group in here doesn't always use the best methods to complete their missions. So, of course, when you first start reading it, silver's bad, red good, Red Rebellion, they must be the good guys. But if their methods are not that great, then it starts to become a question of who is really right, who is right or wrong. So I do like that the book kind of sets up that not everything is black and white. Not everyone is just good or bad. People have nuance, people are complicated, and as something that is repeated in the book, anyone can betray anyone. Now, as the plot goes along, by the end of the book, they do make it seem that this rebellion, this uprising, which in the beginning seemed like a very small group, not that organized, not that many people in it, not that powerful. It seems like by the end that that's not true, that they're actually a lot bigger and more powerful than they had seemed. I won't say why, but that's just the impression that I got. And so I felt that part was kind of confusing to me, because if they were that great like the whole time, then I don't understand some of the actions that were taken. So again, that's an issue with the plot. So for me, again, the biggest issues, the romance, the red uprising thing was kind of weird. There's another twist that I can't really talk about. I felt I was okay with that twist. I think it helped a little bit with some of the other things going on, but that's all I can say about it without giving anything away. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Red Queen. If you've read Red Queen, let me know if you liked it, if you didn't like it. Whatever your thoughts, let me know down below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. I do new book reviews every Wednesday, new videos on Sunday, and sometimes surprise things on Friday. All right, everyone, happy reading.